Hi, welcome to Ambi's Views, where we deep dive into your favorite films and TV shows. And just an FYI, there will be some spoilers in this video. And please subscribe to help us grow this channel. Thank you. Welcome to WandaVision episode 7, where we get more answers to our questions. Now we know, as I predicted previously, it was Agness all along.
And I killed Sparky too.
So, this episode, we learned that Agness is Agatha Harkness, which we have talked about before. So, yay, my prediction came true. While I knew that Agness was lying all along, I'm still not sure, even after this big reveal, if she is a villain. Because in the comic, she was actually mentor to Wanda. So, this doesn't necessarily mean that she's the bad villain that we've been waiting for. It could mean something else. Let's cut right to the chase and go to the end of the episode, where we see Wanda going into Agatha's basement after looking for her twin boys, Tommy and Billy. This is where she discovers several tunnels in the basement leading to different pathways. To Wanda's surprise, Agatha shows up with the bunny and tells Wanda that she didn't think that she was the only girl in town with magical powers.
You didn't think you were the only magical girl in town, did you?
At this point, we realized that it was Agatha who was in control all along from episode 1 up to this point. And a lot of events that took place, it was actually not Wanda, and that it was her. Which means when Norm was talking about how this she person was in control and was in their thought, it was not Wanda at all. It was Agness, aka Agatha.
You have to stop her.
Stop who?
She's in my head. None of it is my own. It hurts.
She then proceeded to control Wanda's mind by the end of the episode. Oh, and did I mention it was also Agatha who brought the wrong Pietro, aka Quicksilver, back to Wanda's life. So the brother that had shown up at episode 5 was not Pietro, which we knew, but I guess our question was finally answered. How the wrong Quicksilver showed up in this Wanda's world. I really appreciated in this episode how the beginning they had like a reality style TV show going on, where Wanda talks about due to her fear and anger, she expanded the false reality world that she lives in, which is Westview.
Letting our fear and anger get the best of us. Intentionally expanding the borders of the false world we created.
Which I thought was really great, because this is really touching on her grieving. Because we know that the reason why she ended up in Westview, at least in my opinion, is her grieving the death of Vision.
You have the power to destroy the storm. You must do it, Wanda, please.
And also grieving the death of her brother.
You didn't see that coming.
So she's basically has been in pain and sadness for a long time. And that is the reason why she's ended up in the situation that she is in right now. I mean, this lady is dealing with so much trauma in her life. This is not just Vision and Pietro, her brother. It also goes back to her losing her parents at such a young age, just living in the world with her and her brother, and eventually losing him as well. And I think this is one of the main reasons Monica Rambeau really feels for Wanda and really, really empathizes with her, because she herself has also lost her mother. So I think I really love the psychology behind Wanda's world and why things has happened the way that it has. Now, let's get back to what else is going on in the show. So we see Hayward, that he was able to get away from last week when Wanda was expanding the parameters of Westview. And we see him talking to one of his people, saying how they're planning to launch something today. And whatever it is big. And so hopefully by next episode, we get to find out what this launch is going to be. We get back to Monica Rambeau and Agent Wu, where they had formulated a plan to get her back inside the hex, which she eventually succeeded, but she had some hiccups.
3, 2, 1.
But somehow she was still able to get back into the hex. And as a result of her traveling through the hex 3 times now, she gains superpowers where she becomes Photon, or at least in this episode, we don't know what name they're going to call her, but we know that in the comics, she first originally appeared as Photon. Monica's main goal and has always been to somehow save Wanda or to defend Wanda.
I think you overstayed your welcome. Poor Wanda's been through enough.
This doesn't concern you.
And that is one of the main reasons she got fired by Hayward, because she always feels very close to Wanda again because of the connection she has to her due to some of the trauma that they've both have experienced.
All you do is lie!
We find Vision in the aftermath of last week's episode, where he pairs up with Darcy, who has now been absorbed into the hex. They leave together to go find Wanda and the twins. And while they're on their way, they encounter so many obstacles. So it's almost as if something doesn't want them to get to their destination. So the car itself that they're driving is very slow. They get to an intersection where there are so many barriers for them to get there. And Vision eventually just fly off, which, to be honest, in the beginning when he got in the car and while they were waiting for all these obstacles that were in their way, I was thinking, why can't your Vision just fly and get to where you need to go? Darcy can get there eventually if she wants to.
I had no idea how much Wanda had endured before coming to Westview, how much we both had.
So now we have two parties who are both trying to get to Wanda, almost as if to save her from something. One of them being Monica Rambeau, who's now Photon with her new superpowers, and Vision himself. We see that Monica gets to Wanda first, and when she tries to talk to Wanda, Wanda becomes upset because her experience with her was previously when she felt that Monica, who was formerly called Geraldine, lied to her. So she became very irritated and upset with her and told her to leave. And while all of this is going on, Agatha, or Agness, was watching and went to get Wanda, whom she took back inside her house. And this is when she eventually went down to Agatha's basement because Agatha told her that Tommy and Billy were playing down there.
Where are the twins?
Oh, they're probably just playing in the basement.
And the reason why Tommy and Billy were at her house, because she had gotten them prior so that Wanda can have time to herself and just rest for the day, for her to catch a break. And that's why the boys were with Agatha.
You're quiet, Agness. On the inside.
But I'm not sure, but I have a theory that she may not see her children again, because back inside her house when she was eating the cereal with the milk, and the milk carton was changing to different periods where there were missing children on the milk carton. I think that those children are going to be her own children, Tommy and Billy. And that's why I have a hunch, or at least a theory, that she may not see them again. And even if she does, she may not see them again as the children that she knows. And we know that from the comic, Tommy and Billy eventually becomes Wiccan and Speed and as part of the Young Avengers. So I think this is really setting up for the new generation of the Avengers and the MCU in general. Now, let's touch on one of the biggest theories so far. But before we get to that, don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. So one of the working theory is that the bad villain is going to be either Nightmare or Mephisto. And right now, I think it's probably going to be likely be Mephisto because of what we saw in Agatha's house and what we saw in her basement. First, we saw the fly, which was one of the things that Mephisto first appeared as. So we saw that. And also in the basement, we saw like the branches that were in her basement. Those are all signs and clues that Mephisto may be involved. But another big clue that I have personally is that the mailman, I don't think the mailman is just an average Joe or one of the regular citizens of Westview. I think the mailman is either Ralph, who may end up being Mephisto himself, or he has a big part to play in this whole show that has not been revealed yet, because he tends to kind of just show up randomly and the camera always focuses on him. And he also tends to show up whenever Agatha is also around. So I have a big theory that he's going to be an important character in the upcoming episodes. The commercial in episode 7 of this week was about an antidepressant called Nexus, and I believe this has a double meaning. First, it is really about Wanda, as the pill promises for you to be rooted in reality or any reality of your own choice, which is the world that Wanda is living in right now. The commercial is also a nod to the Nexus beings in the Marvel Universe, who are a group of people who possesses superpowers, which Wanda is actually one of them. In the post-credit scene, we find Monica looking for Wanda at Agatha's house. She finds a basement door where she opens. So she opens the basement shutter door and she finds Agatha's purple magic at the entryway. And while she's looking down, Pietro shows up and tells her that, Snooper's going to snoop. And this is where the camera cuts off. And I have a feeling that Pietro is probably going to push her into the basement, but they don't know that she also has superpowers now. So it will be very interesting on next week's episode. Do you think Agatha is the main villain, or is Agatha herself being used by someone else? Is it Mephisto or Nightmare, and what is Hayward planning? Are we going to get another big character reveal next week? I am excited for episode 8, and thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.